Welcome, everybody. We are live once again. It's the Standing A podcast. Today, I'm your host, Tommy Russ Jr., and we have special guest on here today. We've got Steven Ruiz from Ringside Global. What's going on, man?
How you doing, sir? How's it going today? Happy Friday to everyone.
Hey, absolutely. Happy Friday. We're ready to get it in. And also, we have a very special guest interview today. So we've got Coach Hector Lopez out of the TKO Boxing Club, Alexis Rocha's trainer and coach. How's it going today, Coach?
I'm doing very well. How you guys doing?
We doing great. We doing great. So I know we kind of got kicked off a little bit pregame, with some talks about the representation that we got here going on. You rocking your Patriots, and we got Steven, repping with the Cowboys back there in the back. So it should be pretty fun here.
Yeah.
So
I respect Steven. I mean, he's a football fan. I'm not a Cowboy fan, but you know what? He's a football fan. I give him that.
Gotta love it. So so hey, we're gonna go ahead and get this episode 81 kicked off. We know we got some time with you today, so we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. So I want to open it up. One thing that I want to ask you about is how did you get started when it comes down into coaching and training in the boxing game?
Sure. I mean, a lot of it probably, and I'm Mexican American. Obviously, it's in my blood. I wanted to volunteer, and I found a boxing club in Santa Ana. And, the plan was to volunteer for a few years. 28 years later, I'm still doing it. It's a great program, and like I said, I think just the smell of the gloves, the sound of the bell. I mean, just like anybody else that's a huge boxing fan, it's a huge high for me.
Love it. Hey, that smell of the gloves, man. It's a unique type thing that if it's one of those if you know type things, man.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah. So another thing that I would like to ask you is, we know that when you start in boxing, there's we hear a lot of stories, a lot of whether it's touching, heartfelt, tough stories that kind of start out people's journeys when it comes down to how they got into the boxing game. From a coach and trainer's perspective, what are some of the things that you look for? Everybody has their expertise, and when you do something, you have that eye for it. What are some of the things that strike you and draw your attention to somebody that you would like to work with in the beginning of their journey?
It's a good question. I mean, early on, I get them as early as age 8. You really don't know much about the kids. And, most of them, unfortunately, come from tough backgrounds, broken homes. I mean, you name it. And I think you're really looking for early on in their development are they gym rats? Because you're going to find out, eventually you're going to start weeding them out. You start sparring, and the people that can handle it are going to stay in there longer. Most kids are, especially early on, they're very competitive. You can't really tell if they're going to be there next week, let alone a year, 2 or 3 years from now. So really what I'm looking for is just that gym rat.
Nice. Steven, I know you got a few questions that you wanna shoot out there, so have at it.
Well, first off, I just want to congratulate you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today. I was doing a little bit of research on you. I'm a big fan of you outside just boxing, but like you said, being a Mexican American and being a role model for a lot of young kids that come in and are looking for that guidance. And sadly, we see nowadays that sometimes it can be in the wrong place. So you definitely, with your boxing gym, giving kids an opportunity to put all that energy into something positive is something tremendous. So I want to congratulate you and Alexis. I saw he went to the school the other day and was just showing kids like, hey, through hard work, dedication, you too can do whatever you dream of. And that to me is huge because, we're all just human beings outside of boxing. Boxing connects us, but at the end of the day, you're being a good person. Y'all are being great people, putting out positive energy. So I just want to commend y'all for that first and foremost.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot, especially on it. You know, our boxing club, I don't know if you know this, Stephen, it's all volunteers. None of us get paid. So you're really, what we're trying to do is get these kids off the street. That was the whole plan, not knowing, you know, what the hell is going to happen in a week, month, or a year, like I said earlier. And you want to give them that hope. Unfortunately, a lot of these kids don't have much to fall back on. And it's other, you know, being Mexican, it's either soccer or boxing. That's all they're really attached to. So you want to give them a chance to say, you know what, yes, you can do this. You know, don't let anybody tell you you can't. And it's not an easy thing, but once you have their attention, once they see you sacrificing with them in the gym with them, they're working out, you start to build a bond, a relationship. And I mean, I've heard so many coaches say, or managers, don't fall in love with your fighters. And honestly, they're idiots because they have no clue what the hell they're talking about. We don't want that father figure role, but it comes with the territory. When you're in there, we have about 60 to 80 kids every day. So I have my amateurs and pros, and we open it up to the rest of the kids. Like I said, it's a great program, and it comes with the territory. You don't ask for it, but you know it's going to happen.
The other thing that's really cool is, you know, I watched some of your stuff before, and you were on the pugilist place, and how Alexis came to you, just like a lot of these other younger kids that when he was 12 years old to lose some weight and ends up being, you know, obviously really good. I know that's got to inspire a lot of those other kids that are in there to say, hey, you know, whether I want to be serious, whether I'm in here for just some cardio or just for something positive, you know, the sky's the limit if you put your mind to it. So I think that's really cool having them there and having that story out of your gym that anybody can do, you know, what they set their mind to, especially having a positive role model like yourself. Like, I'm a tremendous fan of your in the corner ring talks, and I was looking forward to hearing some with that last fight. But they didn't really key in on the corner like I would hope. But again, you know, they're running the show, they're doing it, but you're just doing your thing. But it's kind of cool because you're watching almost like an artist in motion. You already know what you're saying, you know, it's just coming naturally. So when people ask, you know, a Picasso or somebody, well, how did you paint that? I don't know. It's just something that I do. It's in me. It's natural. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are geniuses in certain things. You just got to find your lane. So definitely, I'm sure you're tremendously talented in a lot of things, but you can tell your passion in the corners when you know, I've heard it, you know, what happened to your 3-punch combo? You know this stuff. Why are you playing his game? Don't just stand up there and throw one, or don't go out in front of him and just sit there and camp and be first. You know, all these things, just the way you do it, it's passionate because it's firm. Like I said, it comes from a good place. You know, you're not just dogging your fighter. You're telling him the things he needs to hear because you only have that little bit of time. So I just wanted to congratulate you because you also called it on that pugilist place where you said, you know, not dogging Mr. You know, Blair Cobb, but you said, we're going to stop him. I've watched him. We've sparred with, you know, Manny Pacquiao, the Josh Taylor, the Regis Prograis, you know, Mikey Garcia, Terrence Crawford. Those guys, Blair Cobb's not better than those guys. And iron sharpens iron. So the fact that he was in there with a lot of those guys, just downloading a lot of that information, as we like to say in the boxing game, it's just tremendous to where that's where you can see he's learning every fight. And one fight that I watched the other night was that Barraza fight, where he was also circling a lot of that night. And Alexis was just constantly cutting off the ring, throwing that body work, and then just slowing him down. And you saw a lot of that he downloaded from that fight in the Cobb fight because he caught him. And then immediately that circling stopped. Immediately, we're all in the chat texting. It's like, well, he's no longer circling anymore. That stopped dead in its tracks. So you just can see so much of that, everything that you work in that short amount of time. So just tremendous hats off to you guys. I just can't sing enough praises to both of y'all and the work that y'all both do.
Well, you know, it's tough. I know the zone probably, they always warn me not to throw so many F-bombs. Honestly, it's not planned. It's just, you're in a fierce battle. I'm trying to wake up my fighter. I knew what we had going in the Blair fight. I knew, I told everyone from the get-go, we're going to knock him out. We're going to knock him out. It was just a matter of Alexis believing in the game plan and following and executing the game plan. I did not think Blair was good enough to beat Alexis. And it showed that night. Now, obviously, when you're in the corner, a lot of things happen. I mean, sometimes a headbutt, like in this fight, a couple of shoulders, you don't plan for that. So, you know, things can get a little crazy in the corner. We try to keep our cool, follow the game plan. And like I said earlier, you have to execute the game plan. Sometimes I use some words. People don't really like it. Honestly, I don't give a shit because I'm trying to win a fight. I'm not going to please everybody. I'm there to win a fight. And it shows. Look,
Oh
I'll be
yeah,
honest.
but I think.
Go ahead. I was just going to say,
but stuff like.
I was just going to say, my style, look, I look up to a lot of great coaches. I mean, obviously we're around gyms all the time here in Southern California. I spent a couple of weeks with Freddie. I spent a lot of time with Robert Garcia at RGBA. Him and Eduardo, the father, have been great role models to me. Everybody has their own style. Joel Diaz down in India, tons of respect, but I'm developing my own style and that it just works for me. I'm passionate about it. I see a lot of coaches when the fighter gets to a certain level, they become their personal assistants. They're afraid to tell them that they're screwing up. I'm not one of them. I want to win. I love winning, and whatever it takes, as long as it's legal and ethical, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, tremendous. I agree, and I think a lot of why y'all have such big fans is because we all grew up. I would say Tommy Rush the same. Boxing fans, they grew up with that coach that's just a little bit tough on you, but they're tough on you because they know it's there. They know what to get out of you, and I think that's why it resonates with a lot of the Mexican American fans, just anybody really. When you start letting them know, because everybody's like, oh, I've had that coach, and that coach by far, if I look back at T-ball, pee-wee football, you know, baseball, whatever it is, it was that coach that was that passionate about it and explaining it to me. That's the one I can go back and he cared for me the most. So I say dance with the one that brought you. Whatever works and it's continue to working, you know, don't change it, be you. So, you know, I don't know those like I said, the DAZN, what they're doing, but that's some good TV. Every time I'm like, these are the best corners.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll change. I'm too old. Honestly, I'm kind of set in my ways. Like I said, it works for me. It might not work for everybody. I get it. Nobody likes getting yelled at. People say, oh, you're so mad. I'm not mad. I'm just frustrated that they're not listening to me. So once in a while, I have to get a little bit louder and throw some F-bombs. And all of a sudden, you know, it's funny. Both times when I've had to rip Alexis a new one, I don't know if you've noticed this, Steven or Tommy, the next round, he went out there and dropped the guy. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to keep doing it. If it's successful for me, I'm going to keep doing it. It doesn't work on everybody, but it works for me.
We got Virgil Ortiz right there saying in the chat, Hector is a good coach. He's another great guy that obviously at the end of the day, you're going to do what's best for your fighter. And Virgil Ortiz is one that, hey, you're not going to tell me anything different. It's my son. I know what's best for him. So I'm going to do it. Just like Alexis, you know, you've had him since he's 12. He's like a son to you, and he credits you. I asked him, what are some things that I could talk to, you know, Coach Hector about? And he was like, you know, that he can be hard on us, but he appreciates it because he knows what he can give you and what you expect out of him. So like I said, it's just the fighter knowing, the trainer knowing his fighter, and that's tremendous. And I think all props to, you know, coaches that realize that versus trying to, like you said, be just a yes man. I personally think empires are not built on yes man. Everything I do in life is not the perfect right move, but I need wise people like Mr. Tommy Rush or, you know, a wise trainer like yourself to say, hey, Steven, like, you might want to rethink that one just because everything you do is not the right move. And sadly, that's just the world we live in. So I just want to, you know, Alexis said he credits you for that, the young man that you created, you know, since he was 12. So that's one thing he said to tell you, and that the Patriots suck.
Yeah, I know. He tells me that time. Almost every day he tells me, but you know, it's fun. You have to make it fun at times. The sport is tough. I mean, we're practically going in there. We're trying to hurt somebody else, an individual. And, you know, right now when Virgil came in, Virgil Sr. and Virgil Jr., I've gotten to know him the last few years. We spar with Virgil a lot. He's a hell of a coach, and I've seen him when he gets upset. He's not upset because he's just upset. He's trying to get the best out of Virgil. That young man had been in the gym for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. There's a reason why Virgil's 18-0 with 18 knockouts. Okay, that's his father. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Okay, he's being too hard. Sometimes you have to, but Virgil responds, and like I said, it doesn't work for everybody, and that's just, you know, everybody has their own style of coaching. At the end of the day, we all want to win. Nobody's there to get a paycheck. At least I'm not.
The last thing I had, Mr. Rush, was you said you're there to win. What is it like? Obviously, Freddie Roach is a friend of yours, and you kind of know the who's who of all the top trainers. Is it a little bit of a cherry on top? Obviously, you want your fighter to win, but when you can look across and it's a Hall of Famer like Freddie Roach that you're getting the win against?
I mean, not really. I mean, I'm not fighting Freddie. You know, I wouldn't say no, it's not. At the end of the day, like I said, we won the fight. And like I said, it's not like me and Freddie are fighting. I mean, but it does mean something. It just makes me believe that I belong up there with these guys. I work very hard and I take pride in my work, just like any other coach out there. Some great coaches out there, and some of them just don't get these opportunities. And like I said, I'm going to make the most out of my opportunity, whether it's whatchamacallit, Joel Diaz, Robert Garcia, all those guys. I mean, our job is to win, and nothing against those guys, and we become good friends. But obviously, Freddie is what everybody strives out to be. I mean, the guy's a Hall of Famer. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, wonderful dialogue here. You know, just to take it back a step, you know, we get to talking about, you know, leader. So one thing I like to say is leadership is like parenting. And, you know, in this case, you know, just like you said, that somewhat father figure role comes with the territory when you're coaching and you're training boxers and fighters. You know, we saw, you know, the endorsement, you know, by Virgil Ortiz Sr. Shout out to Virgil. You know, love their family as well. It takes me back to an interview that I had with him, you know, and we got to talking about the tough parent, you know, and how you have to be that way, you know, and not care about what the masses may think or what they may say. And that relates to like exactly what you're talking about with your approach. When you're in the ring, and when you're in the ring coaching, you know, and training and giving that direction, and just like you said, hey, when I really go at it, that's when it turns up. You know, that's when I get the response.
Yeah.
So I know what works for my fighter, for my boxer that's in that moment. And in that moment, that's all that matters at that point is what is going to work that's going to reach the person that I'm trying to reach right now. And so I give a lot of credit to that because it's not about putting on a show. It's not about, you know, trying to please the masses. It's about trying to reach that fighter because as you mentioned, this is, you know, quite frankly, this is the hurt business. You know, you're out there you're trying to, you know, fortunately but unfortunately hurt the next person that's out there. You're trying to win. And so you have to do what it takes. And as you mentioned, you know, within the rules and ethically, but you have to trigger those key factors that are going to bring you to victory. So, you know, I really give a lot of credit to you, to coaches like you, to like, you know, Ortiz Senior, for standing on that, you know, not resting on your laurels and giving in to what other people may think or may feel or may expect of you. You're concerned and you're worried about what your fighter expects of you, and that's what you give with a passion every single day, no matter what. So, you know, most definite credit and kudos to you for that. um One thing I would like to find out, you know, I know you mentioned a lot of other, you know, trainers and coaches that you've been around, but at the end of the day, like, who would you say, you know, maybe one or two people that has influenced you the most in your coaching and training career?
I would have to go back about 30 years. I don't know if you guys remember Jesse Reed. Jesse Reed was the first guy that really kind of took me under his wings. At that time, he had Orlando Canizales. He had helped Tyson out a little bit. He had Johnny Tapia. I learned a lot from Jesse. He kind of took me early on. I was a young guy in my mid-20s and said, "Look, you can do this, Hector. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice." He was one of the ones that, to be honest, he probably got me started. But a man that I look up to a lot is probably Eduardo Garcia. When we're at RGBA, we're there 3 days a week. He sits down with me, and we talk a lot of boxing. I mean, we're there for hours, and he just sits there and gives me so much advice. And I have a lot of respect for the man. I mean, he came from picking strawberries up in Oxnard to training an Olympian, Fernando Vargas, making him a world champion. Also his son. And there's just something. I love having conversations with Mr. Garcia. We can talk freaking boxing for 4 or 5 hours a day. And I admire the man, great man, and I've learned a lot from him.
Nice, nice, absolutely. So I know that we've got some limited time with you right now. So one thing that I do want to kind of transition into is, we all know, the boxing world knows, here in about 2 weeks we've got a pretty big fight going on with Errol Spence and Urdinas Ugas. Give us kind of your thoughts on that fight. If you want to make a prediction on it, what you kind of see, but give us your thoughts on how you think and feel that fight is going to go.
It's a great fight. I mean, there's so many good fights coming up here in the next few months. That's definitely one that can't wait to see. I think at this point in their career, I think Spence is the sharper, busier fighter, stronger, more poise. I just don't see how Ugas. I mean, Ugas fights with a lot of heart. Beat Manny when probably he wasn't supposed to win, but I know Spence is going to be ready, and I can see him coming on top.
Absolutely. I think that, obviously, I think that there are a lot of people that are most definitely going to be riding with Spence. I mean, obviously, I'm here in DFW, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going for Spence here. Steven, got the Cowboys gear up there, so most definitely going to be riding for that hometown.
I mean, there's a lot of great fights coming up. I mean, you got Ryan's comeback will be in San Antonio for that next week. You got Fury versus White, Shakur versus Oscar is going to be a hell of a fight.
Yes.
Canelo Bivol. I think Shakur is going to be one of those fighters that comes around, every 30, 40 years. I think Shakur is a star in the making. I know a lot of people think that Oscar is going to give him a hard time. I don't see it. I think Shakur is very special. I think Shakur can be pound for pound #1 fighter probably for the next few years.
Yeah, he's most definitely a generational talent, for sure.
Absolutely.
Steven?
I just wanted to follow up on that one because that's another fight that I'm looking so much forward to because of the dog that because Oscar Valdez has that dog in him. We've seen him tested, with Warrington, broken jaw, and still finished, still gutted it out. Reached down there, held on to him and won that fight. So that's when he won me over even more so. To me, just like you said, you have Andre Ward, guys like yourself, guys that know boxing, that have an eye for it. You're all saying he's tremendously talented. When he's out there, do you think it's going to take him being tested for the masses to see what you guys see? Or is it just that he's just doing it and it's just looking so easy to him? It's just not fair to him. Much like a Canelo, where people say, well, he's pound for pound, but he's not fighting anybody. But it's like, well, hold on. He's fighting some really tough guys. These are champions or top people, but it's not fair that a Shakur or a Canelo are just that talented. What are some things that you see that, like you said, he's a generational talent, something you only see every 30 years, something like that?
I mean, Shakur, he's a great counterpuncher. Southpaws by nature are very good counterpunchers. His skills are off the chart. His jab is incredible. Defense, you're never going to land a punch. I mean, I understand what people are saying about Oscar. And don't get me wrong, Oscar is a hell of a fighter. He's shown a lot of guts. He was in there with some really, really good fighters in the past, even the one with Burchett. But come on, you're talking Shakur's on another level. I don't know, somebody once said skills pay the bills, and I just don't see how anybody can beat Shakur right now. I can see Shakur going up to 35 and maybe eventually 40, and somebody will give him a harder time because they'll be much bigger than he will. But Shakur's all around. Some guys that hit hard, some guys are fast, some guys have the jabs. He's a complete whole package, in my opinion.
Thank you for that. Like I said, it takes, I feel like it's guys like yourself that when you've seen so many fighters come through and you're just so high on the gentleman, it's not just because you just want to hear yourself talk. It's you're just, hey, I'm calling it like I see it. His jab is tremendous. He's extremely athletic. He's a counter puncher. And it just seems like guys like that, the only people that are going to beat him are themselves. So that'll be interesting to see how he progresses and how that goes.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm a fan. I'm a fan before I'm a coach. So I get excited for some of these big fights. And like I said, you have to admire and you have to be smart. I mean, I can't think with my heart is what I'm trying to tell you guys. I mean, you see the difference. And Shakur, I'm telling you guys right now, it's going to be one of those kids that's going to be very, very special. Unless he does something stupid. And I don't think so. I think he's so driven to wanting to be the best. I can really see this kid going a long, long way. I mean, but Canelo's one of those. I got to meet Canelo when he first got here. We were up in Big Bear, and young kid, and look at the star he is. I mean, nobody would have thought, that was what, I don't know how many years ago, 10 years ago. I never would have imagined that he'd be the face of boxing. You saw this young kid, freckle face, and who would have said, okay, 10 years ago, Hector, he's going to be the face of boxing? I would have said, you're crazy. I mean, he's worked so hard, and after that loss to Floyd, he's become such an unbelievable athlete. His work ethic is crazy. Alexis got to spar Canelo early on. I think Alexis was 17 or 18 years old. And we sat there and watched his work ethic. It was amazing. And that's what a lot of these guys don't understand. They work their asses off in the gym. It doesn't really come natural. They're just workaholics. They're gym rats. I mean, Alexis has sparred, talked about Canelo. I mean, he sparred Manny Pacquiao, Josh Taylor. We spent 5 weeks with Josh Taylor in the UK. Mikey Garcia, Regis, Jose Ramirez. I've seen what these guys do. But I'm telling you guys, their work ethic is what really sets them apart from everybody else. They're incredible. They're machines, and they do this day after day for, 8 to 10 week camps. It's incredible.
Just to piggyback off of what you said, Coach, there was another trainer, his name escapes me right now, and he had done a podcast, and he goes, we thought we worked hard. We thought we worked hard, and we do. He was like, and then we went in and sparred Canelo and sparred with them, and he's like, those guys, it's cool to see them work, but he goes, it showed us where we can strive to be, that there's still another gear. You could be going fast in fourth gear, but there may be more gears that you don't know about that you haven't hit yet, which is really cool to see because you're like, you know what? I am training hard, but I know I can reach another level, and it's nothing but hard work that kept that guy at the top because he's rocking those Dolce & Gabbana silk pajamas, but it's not affecting his work rate. So, hey, all power to him. That's why I love, sorry.
I was going to say, there's levels to this. Look, just like baseball. Yeah, you're playing baseball in single A, but there's also the major leagues and a lot of stuff in between. Boxing's the same way. You can go to a club fight. Most states have club fighting, once a month, and it's boxing, but there's levels to this. And these guys, the top level, the elite level, these guys stand out because of their work ethic. I mean, somebody else can be saying, oh, like you said earlier, just to piggyback off what you said, we thought we trained harder. Then you go there, you're like, holy shit, they're doing this for 3 or 4 hours. You're just blown away. You just can't believe what they're doing. It's incredible. Look, people come into my gym and they say the same thing, like, we're still 2 weeks away. Alexis buying 14 rounds? Hell yeah. And then we're going to go on the mitts for another 6 to 8 rounds. Because at the end of the day, that's all we can do. Okay? The talk is cheap. You got to go in there. You got to work hard. And you're going to be comfortable with that. You want to go in the fight knowing you did the best in camp to get ready for that fight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm trying to remember the basketball player that was in this example, but they were talking about Kobe Bryant. And, Rest in peace to Kobe. But we all know that Mamba mentality, and they were talking about Kobe being in the gym for a couple of hours, and they came in the gym with Kobe, working out, trying to show off, trying to show that that they had it, and he was still in there working. And when they were done, they went to the back, got dressed, got ready to leave, and Kobe was still out there working. And they were just amazed, and they sat and kind of watched him for almost an extra hour after they were done and said, "Dude, why are you still here?" And he said, "Because I knew you were here, and I wanted you to know that no matter how hard you worked, I'm going to outwork you." Like that
That's
mental.
exactly it. Tommy, I'm more of a Michael Jordan fan because I was around that era. I've read quite a few books about his mindset, but his work ethic, how he would stay after the game. They would leave the stadium open for him. He'd shoot around for 2 hours. He'd go lift weights. You think he just played a 3 hour game and he's still working out. I have a saying in the gym, I want you to be the first one in the gym and the last one to leave because there's a lot of stuff that goes in. I mean, 8-week camp, people don't realize there's a lot of sacrifice. We're away from home, we're away from our loved ones, our family, our kids. And you better have that mindset and that mentality to be the hardest working son of a bitch when you come in, and you better be the last one to leave. If you don't have that mindset, you're not going to make it in our sport. Like you said earlier, we're trying to hurt somebody. So if you start cutting corners, you're going to get exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yeah. I guess this has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and we 1,000% thank you for your time, taking this time with us to conduct this interview with you, and congratulations again on the victory. Any last words, shout outs, mentions that you have for all the listeners?
Absolutely. I want to thank you guys for having me on the show first. Hopefully we can do it again, Stephen. Hopefully we'll see you in Texas next week. But behind every coach, obviously I have a team behind me, and I want to give out shout outs to my team, Coach Robert, Coach Caesar, Coach Drew. They do a lot of behind the scenes, makes me look good, but there's a big team behind Team Alexis, Team Ronnie. It's the same team. I've been lucky enough to have the same team for a few years now. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be here. And it's, shows like you guys, I think boxing right now is in a huge resurgence. I mean, I love what I'm seeing. I love all the podcasts, all the fights that are out there. It makes me excited again. Like I said earlier, I'm a fan first, and I can't wait for the next few months. I mean, if you're a fight fan, this is your Super Bowl. It seems like there's gonna be a great fight every week.
Yeah, and I can't wait, and I know Stevie can't wait either. I'll most definitely I'll be at Spence Ugas, and I'm gonna enjoy that, and as many other fights that I can be at in person. And we're all boxing junkies down to the heart,
Right.
so we're gonna be watching them all and being fans and shouting at the screen if we're not in person. So. Absolutely, man.
Hey, I'm just glad we're able to go to the fights again. I mean, those years that we fought in the bubble, oh my God, one of the worst experiences. I mean, not being able to, a lot of these fighters feed off the roar of the crowds. And honestly, that was tough. That was tough to just sit there. I mean, I would move my chair in the corner. I felt like I was in the library. I could screech. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? It just didn't feel right. And it was very awkward. I'm just grateful that, we're opening everything back up. And that we're able to attend these fights because, like you said, I'm a boxing junkie. I live it every freaking day. I mean, it's nonstop for me, and it's it drives me, and I love that. I love the fact that you guys do these because it brings a lot of exposure to our sport. I wish our sport was more mainstream, and at times these damn promoters don't get it. It's only those loyals that were on cable TV or pay-per-view. We need our sport to be mainstream because I think if you want to grow, you have to do that. And if not, we're like dinosaurs. We keep surviving, but for how long?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where that phrase comes in of boxing ain't dead. We
That's
keep
true.
surviving. It ain't dead. So we've got plenty of purists, plenty of fans, plenty of us that are out there that very very strongly support the sport and love the sport of the sweet science. And so yeah, I mean we're going to continue supporting. We're going to continue watching. We're going to continue going hard for this sport as well, because it's most certainly not dead, and there's a lot of exciting things coming.
I agree
So
100%. Thank you guys for
Last
having
thing,
me on.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. I want to say my goodbye. Mr. Andrew Mejia said thank you so much for the shout out, Coach Hector. So he said thank you so much. Are you coming to the fight out here for that Spence Ugas?
No, I don't think because we're going to be back in camp. I will be there for Ryan. Ryan's comeback next week in San Antonio. But for Spence Ugas, I don't think I'm going to keep an eye on it. Obviously, it's in Alexis's weight class, and I could see us in a few years. Obviously, Alexis is young. I think Spence will probably go up, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on that fight for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. Thank you for everything that you do for your community, and just being such a light for so many young men and women out there in your community. Just thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
thank you. Yeah, man. Wonderful, wonderful interview. Coach Hector, that dude, man, he's freaking stand up. He's awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed that. What'd you think, Steven?
I mean, you with Coach Hector, what you see is what you get. There's no coaching here outside the lights and then under the lights, under the zone or whatever promotion that it is. He's a different guy. That guy is, very solid, very old school, and that's what I like about him. Is just very genuine. And nowadays, it's hard to find genuine folks, especially when it comes to boxing. And there's just different kinds of folks out there, but that there's a real one with that gentleman, and just the support that he has also speaks volumes to me. So I'm extremely impressed every time him and Alexis go out. Anytime he does anything, I'm always a fan. And how he alluded, there's so much boxing coming up. He's going to be watching, like he said, that Spence and Ugas fight, just because that's at the end of the day, he's always scouting. He's doing what coaches do. And, how he mentioned that Spence Ugas fight, that's going to be fireworks too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that, man. Let's talk a little bit about that. We know we just had most recently, just yesterday, we had the showing of Errol Spence and his media day, his media workout. Give me your thoughts on what you saw, and then beyond what you saw. Let's go ahead and just jump into it. Talk about what you feel is going to happen in that fight.
It's gonna be I think a tremendous fight at the early going, like most are. Spence is not somebody that's just gonna come out all gas at you. He's gonna see what you got, kind of like he did with the Danny Garcia when that one was at AT&T Stadium. That one was a tremendous fight. But I like that Spence tries to do that Michael Jordan type thing, which is whatever you think you're strong at, I'm going to break your will and I'm going to try and dismantle that. So I honestly feel like he's going to try and take Ugas with his conditioning too, or just like how Ugas likes to, put his physique. I think he's going to try and show him that he's the stronger fighter. I think that he's going to, what can't he do? He can counter punch. He's got a tremendous jab. He's got tremendous power. He can go to the body. He can go up top. He sets traps. He can counter punch you as well. So I think there's just so much in his arsenal that I don't think Ugas has as many tools when he's coming from that Cuban style of counter punching. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I definitely, like Coach Hector, I have Spence winning that one, and maybe even by stoppage. How he's been saying, it's been a little bit since I've been man down, but he definitely, I think, wants to show that he can still do that, especially if there's fights around the horizon with, if there's a bigger unification later on and he's got 3 belts to the one, who knows?
Yeah. I think that, if anything, if it's gonna happen, the man down, it could be happening in this fight. As we talked, we talked earlier, and before the podcast, and I think that one thing that we've looked at and saw is what is Errol going to look like when it comes time for the fight. In terms of what he looks like right now, he's pretty in shape. He's a little big, but we still got about 2 weeks left. And so, as we kind of discussed, is what's going to get cut. When it comes down to that weight, what is he going to be cutting? Is he going to be cutting muscle? Is he going to be, is he going to have enough, water weight to cut? Is he going to be able to slim down? But right now, he looks great. But I don't think that he's at weight at this point right now. So what we see now is going to be a difference from what Errol Spence we see in about 2 weeks from now. That I think that's going to be crucial. Do I think that there are really any real concerns that we may see? I know a lot of people may tend to still think about the accident, the retina, things like that, and how those things might impact him in a major fight like this. With Ugas' style, I don't really see that being something that is, a major concern. Even if there is that concern, which that could be something that is very well a danger. But I don't think that I see that in Ugas' style being something that could be implemented and be really that impactful. So I think the confidence is going to be there in Errol Spence in this fight. As you mentioned, he's already very well aware that it hasn't been man down for a little bit, so he's gonna be really looking to show out. He's in Cowboy Stadium. He's already got that big relationship with Jerry Jones. Like there's a lot on this fight, and if he can come out and show ass on this, it's going to be major, and it's going to be major towards a point that you made when it comes down to the belts and what we know everybody is going to continue talking about, because we're still talking about it. That hope for the Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight and that leverage that will be had, in this. So I think that's going to be something that he's looking to put a very heavy and sharp staple in that paperwork and say, this is where we're at, player. Let's get it.
I mean, it's going to be very hard to negotiate against a guy that's got 3 belts to your 1. You know what I mean? Regardless of whatever happened in the past, we've talked about the other side of the street. Well, guess what? Bud's not a part of any street anymore. So, there's rumors about maybe him signing a 2-fight deal with PBC, maybe a Thurman fight as a precursor to a Spence and that big unification. So we shall see. I haven't heard much about the lawsuit, and I don't know how much that takes away from the focus that is a Bud Spence showdown. So we shall see. I'm excited for Spence. Just to play devil's advocate, do you factor that 13-month layoff playing any part? Because I mean, at the end of the day, these are pro athletes, and sometimes the more that you're in there, the better you can look. Sometimes long layoffs can play a factor. Just like I said, just to play devil's advocate. Obviously, I'm a hometown guy. I'm repping for my guy, but do you think that could play a factor in that fight if it's early rounds, maybe just conceding to Ugas?
I very honestly, I think that the mindset and game plan will play the biggest factor. The 13 months compared to the type of layoff that he's had that he's had with the accident, I don't think so. I think that for me, very honestly, all doubt was erased in these last couple of fights with him coming back from the accident. That was my biggest concern was long term, what would he look like? We saw, and I was there for the Danny Garcia fight. Like, what was he looking like? And I had some concerns early on in that fight, how cautious he was being versus, how he can be known to be when he is in that man down phase. So I had some concerns there because I'm like, oh, this is the first fight back. He took this big fight, and I could tell he's not really, being aggressive. He's being way more strategic. He's being cautious. He's kind of, he's kind of watching what he's doing. But he handled it. He handled it in great stride. He took the punches that he needed to take. He showed that grown in the fight, and showed that chin. So to be honest, for me, that doubt is erased on a setback as far as the layoff. I think that what we're seeing and what he's looking like right now is very indicative of what we might see in the ring.
So, like I said, tremendous. I posed the question just to see what you have to say. I also wonder how much is it where you're being cautious in a way, being smart about it, or is it that fighter's just not opening up? We talk about it all the time. Styles make fights, and I've seen Canelo try and really make a fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but he's not opening up to be hit. He's staying in his shell. And after that fight at AT&T Cowboy Stadium with Spence, Danny Garcia and Angel Garcia, he was like, I was telling Danny, you got to throw, you got to open up. And how much is it like, hey, this guy is pretty good. If I open up, I'm a little worried about what's coming back. So sometimes maybe it's not to Errol's detriment that, hey, I played it cautious. It's just I was only doing what was allotted to me, and he wasn't giving me much. So that's how I won the fight, by doing me. But we could have definitely exchanged. I think I could have came out on top, but he didn't want to try that. But I'll let you go back to the next point. But shout out to Jose Rendon, who hit Mr. Tommy and Tommy up on that one, and me. And so shout out to him listening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And also, yeah, shout out to our main man, Aaron. Sorry, y'all, for he's listening in right now. Couldn't join us, and Courtney Tanner couldn't join, but most definitely appreciate all the partners, Michael Gomes, everybody, shouting out for that interview with Coach Hector. And then again, Jose, he says in his opinion, it's just his opinion, but there seems to be more maturity in Errol, just in his answers, which, we could see that. We could see that. In my opinion, man, like there's been a lot that went into concerns on how tight he was being with the Charlo brothers. That type of lifestyle that they were kind of getting into. I think that to Jose's point, like Errol has matured. This was a life-threatening situation that happened in this guy's life, man, and he's got small children. He's got a family at this point, and he is like really taking these types of things into consideration. So I have also seen a lot of growth in this man, and so the answers, how he carries himself, his priorities, those things absolutely matter, and they do carry into the ring, because how you practice is how you play, and he's showing that his practice is on point right now, and so that will reflect in the ring and how he plays.
Oh yeah, like you we all know he's a he loves his horses. He's been buying them. He's got that ranch life now. He's got a new baby boy. So those are all things that can invigorate you and kind of let you know, like, hey, let's bring it back to the basics. What's important? And right now, being, like he said, the ultimate goal, being unified and all in that division, that, let's get it. And it looks like he's doing the things like most champions do, taking the steps they have to take to get to that level. You know what I mean? Or not to that level, but to get to that goal. There's some things, hey, sometimes you got to eat your vegetables, whether they're good or not, but to get the end result. So I'll shout out to him. Shout out to Jaime Garza, All Access Elite too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jimmy Blue, Mister.
He was out there seeing Spence. He's another guy that sees all the fighters in the DFW and everywhere he can go. And he was raving on his thing last night, I believe last night or the night before, that he's never seen Spence look this great, this sharp, this strong, this early 2 weeks before his fight. You know what I mean? Like, Jimmy Blue's out there saying, like, I'm an arm's length of him, and this guy is looking tremendous. The way he's hitting the bag, he just looks so powerful, so sharp. So, I mean, that's great reviews coming from somebody that watches a lot of boxing, and Jimmy Blue.
Yeah, he flat out said it on that live. He said, man, Ugas is in trouble. like he just put it out there, like, just to preface it. You ain't even got to hear where I'm going with it. I'm telling you right now, as soon as you come into this, he's in trouble. So like it's great. Like he just said right here, chiming in. He said, the Arrow is in phenomenal shape, and he was blown away. So that says a lot. And most definitely, once again, shout out to our boy Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing. But I think that it's gonna be great. What you got?
I was just gonna say, and just like we had Coach Hector on, we forget he's still got an ace in the hole with Derek James. You know what I mean? That guy knows so much on the sport of boxing, and he's got so many people in his stable that what I mean. Like when you have a fighter that's already great, and then you couple it with a trainer like a Coach Hector, a Virgil Ortiz Sr., all these different guys, Coach Derek James, it just makes your fighter that much harder. It's like, this guy already was a mountain, and now I had this guy telling him in between rounds what I'm doing wrong, and he's exploiting it each and every round. It's a tough task for any other opposing fighter.
Yeah. I mean, that experience, man, it can give some people hell. And when you have a great relationship overall, like a really, really tight, really trustworthy, great relationship with your trainer and your coach, that could be critical, especially at this level of the game. When you're at this level of the game, and it comes down, it's just like football. It's the game of inches. When it comes down to those, the game of inches, and it comes down to the small things in the boxing ring, it comes down to the foot placement. It comes down to the feints. It comes down to when you reach out there and you throw those extra shots out there. It comes to when you beat your opponent to the punch because your trainer, your coach has noticed some things in the ring. It comes down to all of those things. So it's very, very critical, the relationship that they have, the trust, the trust more than anything, the trust that you have, that when you get done with those 3 minutes and you go back to that corner, that direction that you get given to you, that you can trust that, and go out and execute it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Oh man, I'm so ready.
Oh, I was just gonna say, shout out to Joel. He said, my boy ringside, happy birthday to him. It was his birthday yesterday. This guy was at the Spence media workout, suited and booted. He had his strap season. He had his shirt. Got a picture with the champ. I was like, does nobody else work? I'm at work, so mad that I didn't get to go. Showtime's there, the Schmo is there, like, and he's an MMA guy. Everybody's there, and I'm at work just like, what can you do? But you know what I mean? Well, it'll come back around. So shout out to Joel. You know, like I said, just there's so much love that Errol Spence is getting. You know, and like Jaime said, with the Hispanic fans, he's got so many fans out here in the DFW showing him love. And I think, you know, like Coach Hector said, that live crowd, that bubble crowd, that's hard to do when you feed off the crowd. You know, I don't know who Errol Spence is coming out with. I don't know if it's Yellow Beezy again or who it would be. I personally think he should come out to a big tuck. That's just me. That's the age that I am. I'm not, you know, Yellow Beezy's a little bit younger than me. I'm a more big tuck, Tum Tum, all these guys. I think he should come out to big tuck, but you know, not a stain on me or something. That, you know, that I'm older like that.
Hey, I feel you. I'm not originally from Dallas. I'm not from DFW originally. I'm born and raised from Indianapolis, but I've been here for quite a while. So I know what's up. I know what's up with Big Tuck and Tum Tum. So like, hey, you taking it back on them, taking it back. But,
if he came out, if they need to come out, sorry, go ahead.
No, you good, man. Hey, I think that would be pretty awesome if he did, man. Just to be honest. But Joey said, yeah, I work, but I told my boss is boxing, so that's the only reason I asked off. But hey, I maybe I should tell my boss the same thing. Maybe you should tell your boss the same thing. Hey, I don't know. Let's try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell him no boxing, no life, my friend.
Hey, yeah, I'm gonna get on my next meeting and have that shirt on, and I'm just gonna put that on Teams on my next shirt. Just no boxing, no life. I gotta go, boss. Like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I gotta get after this, you know, because I'm like you, man. I'm like, dang, I wish I had some time to get out there, man. Like, I wish I was there.
I was so mad.
For real, man. For real. Like, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, man. Hey, this has been a phenomenal episode 81. You know, hey, I appreciate you, all of us, all of my my comrades. You know, this it's been great. It's been phenomenal. We got some big stuff from Jimmy Blue here. Let's see what he got going. What he talking about? He loved the fact that Earl answered the question about, how the new wave of fighters such as Shakur, Teofimo, Valdez, Haney versus Cambosos, taking less money to go and chase the glory, but to get the bigger paydays down the line. Errol said he realizes that he's 32, 33 years old, and that time is ticking. So he has to secure, his family financially, because he isn't 24 years old anymore. And if you lose, you can still fight for a title. So, he want to say respect to those guys, which I applaud that as well. That's one thing. And to be honest, that could be something that speaks towards what everybody wants to see. Errol is, he's realized, and like what we talked about earlier, he has matured. He is realizing, like, dude, I'm a family man now. Like, I'm trading in my Corvettes and all of this stuff for horses. I'm getting the real horsepower now, not the manufactured horsepower. Like, I'm going for different things lifestyle wise. And he recognizes and understands, like, I'm not a spring chicken anymore, man. Like, I'm kind of getting up there and getting long in the tooth when it comes down to this boxing career. So I got to do what I need to do, and I need to do it the right way. And so that could actually speak towards that absolute mega fight that we want to see, which is why he could be very much so planning and ready to show his ass in 2 weeks. So he could say, you know what? I'm ready for that fight. Let's go ahead and make it happen. No matter what the cost is, fuck whatever side of the fence, all of that stuff that we talking about is go time right now. Let's make it happen. Let's make millions on millions, and let's do this for the fans. So I really think that this is, that this could be major. What's your thoughts, man?
I just wanted to say, just I'll say this before I say my goodbye is, do you believe maybe we see somebody in the audience out there, coming from Nebraska to come check this fight out, a la like Triple G at Canelo? Hey, come up here. Let's see what it is. Do you think he would be out there?
Hey, he better. He better be out there. He better. Jimmy Blue says, "Will this fight sell over 225K?" Which I mean, it's a unification fight. It's we got the Cowboy Stadium. We got Jerry Jones pumping this bad boy out. Like DFW is gonna be out in support heavily. So that may take away from some of the buys on it, but will it sell over 225K? Um, I think it's gonna be close. To be honest, I won't say 100% because I feel it will sell, but I honestly I'm not sold. I'm not sold on what Ugas is gonna sell. In his part of this fight, like unification fight. Tons of people know Errol Spence, whether they know him from his career, whether they know him more from getting in an accident and coming back, whatever it is. Like he's going to be able to sell some fights, but we also know that some of the sales that Errol Spence has seen and come across have been, just calling it what it is. It's been at the hands of a collaboration of who's able to sell that fight, like a la Mikey Garcia. That's it sold a lot, but a lot. I was there, and it was super heavy, Mikey, and that was here on DFW turf. So while Arrow has become a much bigger star since then and gotten much more notoriety and much more attention, he's grabbed some more belts and everything. But what is Ugas going to bring to the table? When it comes to selling this unification fight, he did beat Manny. That's major,
Those are
but
big eyes.
that's big. But what is he going to bring to it? So you know, what's your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I just think, to Jimmy Blue's point, I just think it's got to sell more than Porter and Bud. So that way, like I said, as long as it does more than that, Spence says, "Hey, I sell more at the end of the day, and I have more of the belts. Let's quit playing around." You know, Look at was it Fury and White? Look at what the split was for that. He knows he wants that fight. He wants a chance at showing he could be the best. You got to do what you got to do. You got to take it. Haney said the same thing. I took less or whatever I had to do. Shakur, I took less, whatever I had to do to put yourself in that position. When Ruiz fought AJ, he took probably cents on the dollar, but he said, "I just got to give myself this chance because the next one, it'll be my time to, for you to write the check." So I think when a fighter bets on himself, much like a Teofimo when he fought Loma, you bet on yourself, you pull it out, and you're in a better position forward. Now to stay on that position, to stay on the top, that's a whole nother level. As we saw Ruiz beat AJ and fall completely off. Teofimo beat Loma and then fall off with Camboso. So just because you bet on yourself and win big, you can't give it all back to the casino, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, and we got Jimmy Blue saying he's trying to make a bold prediction here, bold breaking news prediction from Mister All Access Elite Boxing, saying if Manny loses his presidency bid, he wouldn't be surprised if he wants one more shot at 147, possibly against the winner. Which I mean, you know. Manny's Manny. He is very, very willing to jump back in the mix like Double Dutch and try get right back in there in the swing of things. And I mean, we all know the the issues that he's kind of encountered, throughout his career with that money. So I can most definitely see him, trying to jump in there. His name was in Errol Spence's mouth for a very long time. It would be a perfect a perfect tornado because say just wild. You say Ugas ended up winning the fight. Now he's like unified, and he beat Manny Pacquiao. I mean, hey, a rematch for Manny Pacquiao to potentially, come back, be 1,000% ready, and take Ugas super super serious, and be able to plan for him since it wasn't a step up, and potentially be able to come back and get all those belts and make some more history. I could see that being something that could possibly happen. And I could also see that being something that a perfect typhoon, he says. So yeah, I said tornado, but he threw in typhoon. So yeah, word. I could see that being something that happens, and obviously Al Heyman would be more than willing to make that happen, being with Pacquiao kind of being quote unquote again on that side of the fence a little bit. So what you think about that?
I think Bud would have something to say about that if Spence got beat by Ugas. I think Bud's gonna say, "Okay, I need all those titles immediately, and I need to get them off this guy named Ugas." Because now, even though I'm not the biggest Bud fan, if at all, he could say, "Look, Ugas beat Manny. Ugas beat Spence. I just beat Ugas. What are those guys going to have for me if they couldn't get past the guy I just smoked?" You know what I mean? So we'll see. And like Jimmy Blue says, Bud will fight Thurman first, but Thurman's hasn't looked to me too impressive. He fought Mario Barrios and looked decent. Before that, Josecito Lopez, a fighter Riverside Rocky that I really like, almost had him out of there in the 7th round when Josecito had like a 2-week notice. Side note, Josecito will be on the card coming up in 2 weeks on the Spence Ugas.
Yep.
I'm not sure who he fights right now, but he's a bit a favorite fighter of mine as well. But Josecito almost had him out in the 7th round. Like I said, on 2 weeks camp notice. Mario Barrios he's fighting, who got destroyed by Tank, and then him and Thurman are going 50-50 rounds. I just don't see Bud struggling with Thurman. I think he gets him out of there. And then if that was the case, he sees Ugas and maybe takes him out of there.
Yeah. I mean, but I can also feel the vibe from which I don't agree with, but I could feel the vibe of the boxing gods kind of trying to push Thurman back up unjustly, in my opinion. Yes, he's getting the victory, but I can feel that a little bit. Like they're trying to push him back in the mix a little bit too extra. And so we'll most definitely see what happens with that. But I agree with you. I think that Bud would he would dispatch him probably. I think before the championship rounds, to be honest. I think maybe round 9 and 10 or so, somewhere in that range. Normally Bud is he turns it up 6 or 7, and it doesn't really make it past 8, but I think I could see Thurman, making it through about 9 to 10 rounds.
And we still can't forget the other guys that are chomping at the bit at 147 too. Once Virgil gets through his illness, he's still at 147, so he's not a guy to be overlooked. You have who is it? Boots? Is he at 147? He's a guy he said, he called out Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia says, he's got his own path, I've got mine. AK, I don't want that smoke. So, you know what I mean? Like, we got to see.
Yeah. And Jimmy Blue, it would be quit ducking me, thun. Quick ducking me, thun. Yeah, buddy. Hey, man. I love this episode, man. We've been talking plenty of shit, man. So, absolutely, Hey, Stephen Ruiz, Ringside Global. I want to pass the podium over to you for a quick second, man, and let you get your shout outs, your mentions, your thank yous, whoever you want to talk to right now, talk to them. Let's spit that shit, man.
So I guess my little final thought. First off, first and foremost, thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Standing Eight Podcast. Thank you, Aaron. Courtney. All you guys that do the Standing Eight and give people like Jimmy Blue, Jose, Joel, guys like myself, Coach Hector, a platform to speak freely about boxing and from a true boxing head point of view. Everybody here, it's not a political thing, or it's not a max on boxing where I have an agenda. We're all just seeing it through the eyes of the fans, and that's what makes the sport of boxing go, and all the passionate fans that we have. So shout out, like I said, you, Aaron, Jose, Jimmy Blue, Coach Hector, Alexis Rocha, everybody that's watching, Virgil Ortiz Sr., Junior, just everybody out there, man. I'm just blessed in this day and age to have another day. Thank God for waking me up. Just thanking my family and everybody's support system that allows them to do what we do and go to these boxing events, put on podcasts, and just, talk about a sport that we love. So shout out to everybody. Of course, anybody wants to follow Ringside Global can always hit me up, questions, anything. I'm always out there. I'll talk to anybody about anything, boxing especially. So shout out, much love to everybody out there watching. Anybody else that I forgot, but yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Hey man, absolutely, dude. Like it was an absolute pleasure and an honor having you on, and thank you. You made this happen, just being open and honest. You made this interview happen. We greatly appreciate, what you're putting forth to make this type of stuff happen, man. Like this, as we said earlier, boxing ain't dead. We got folks like you and Jose and Jimmy Blue. We got all sorts of people in vivo. Like we've got so many of us out here right now that are really getting at it, man. And shout out to all of my peers. Aaron, Courtney, Michael. Everybody. Like all of our people, all of our members of the Pound for Pound, Facebook group, that are engaging and just showing their love for the sport of boxing. All of the listeners, shout out to Tiffany Daniels, the first lady of boxing. Shout out to Marcus Nall, Ohio runs boxing. Like everybody, most definitely Alexis Rocha, Coach Hector Lopez. We absolutely are extremely grateful and thank you for joining us for that wonderful interview. The insight. Shout out to the Ortiz family. Virgil Senior and Junior. Appreciate Virgil Senior chiming in with his endorsement of Coach Lopez. Just it's been great, man, and it's going to continue to be great. I don't know if we're necessarily going to air another episode before the fight, but we will most definitely be airing one that's very closely after the fight for sure.
I was just going to say, hey, I'm going to be at the fight. I know you're going to be at the fight. If you see us, stop by, say what's up. Just let us know you're out there and that you're listening. And, I love meeting people that, hey, we saw your thing. And it's a great feeling. And this is why we do it. Just because I'm a boxing fan, you're a boxing fan. So I'll be at that Spence Ugas fight. I'm saving all my pennies to try and get as close to the ring as possible. But, other than that, much love to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt, man. We will be in attendance 100%, ready to go, ready to roll, and ready to cheer on for the sport of boxing. So once again, man, thank you, Stephen, Mr. Ringside Global. Most definitely appreciate you, man. This has been episode 81 of the Standing Eight Podcast. as my boy Courtney Tanner would say, tell a friend, and 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 support. Much love. We appreciate y'all. We out.